Welcome to the crossroads of the known and the unknown. This is AJ Parr's Spiritual Journalist Podcast.
When I was a young girl, I'd say about 4 years old, I woke up in the middle of the night and there was a lady, a shadow on my bed. And I got up and I thought, what's my mother doing up here? And I reached my hand out and my hand went right through her. I was very frightened. So I would say that's my first experience with something on the other side. And then when my dad died, that was another experience. So when my dad died, 2 days previous, I had looked into his medications and I found out that he wasn't taking them right. He was supposed to take 400 milligrams a day. He was taking 200. I found this out and I cried for 2 days. I talked to him out loud. I was making dinner and crying. I had to go to the grocery store. People were looking at me. I was crying in the parking lot. I could not stop crying because I felt so bad that I might be responsible for my dad passing. So when the pharmacist told him to take 400 milligrams of an antibiotic, Dad went into the pharmacist and the pharmacist said, the insurance will only pay for 200. You need to take 2 pills at a time. Now, Dad remembered that the doctor said take 1 pill 4 times a day. So I called the pharmacist that time and I said, this is awful. He said, the amount of medication would no way would have gotten rid of the pneumonia. So I felt bad because all our sisters were always looking in on Dad and making sure he was okay. And I had called him the night before and I said, I'll go with you to the doctor. And he says, I'm a big boy. So he didn't want me to go. So he died February 15th. And my first encounter was March 1999. I've got 3 pages that I wrote the next day. This is page 1. This is page 2. And this is page 3. I'm just going to read you just the first little bit. I awoke from my visit with a feeling of great peace. A totally encompassing peace had settled over me. I felt so thankful Dad had come to me. Tears started to flow down my face. Dad and I are in the kitchen. He's sitting on the sewing machine stool and in front of the kitchen cabinet. A sense of total love came from him. I looked at him, sat down on his lap, a bit awkwardly. I said, Dad, you came. I miss you so much and love you so much. I put my arms around him and hugged him so tight. My arms were completely around him. He wasn't hugging me back. His arms were straight down at his side. Dad, please hug me, I said with words, and grasped his arms and put them around me. He then started to hold me tight. I held him tighter and tighter, not wanting to ever let go. He felt my pain, my love, my missing him, and he started to rub my back. I felt his hands on me and the comfort that came from them. Still holding on to him, I was uncomfortable. I got up and repositioned myself so I could sit on both knees with my feet to the side. I leaned back, still holding his upper arms. I never wanted to let him go. And I said, Dad, do you know you didn't take your pills right? He had not been taking the correct amount of antibiotic for a lung infection. He looked at me again. I felt his godlike presence of total love and telepathically communicate to me, does it matter? I felt then that it was okay. I had been crying for the past 2 days. I was speaking to him out loud, tears running down my face when I was walking in the Zehrs parking lot. This really bothered me. Still on his lap, Still holding him and he me, I continued to lean back and asked him why Mom had not visited me. He telepathically said, Mom is crying. She is upset. It is too late. Now I am standing beside him and earnestly, telegraphically shooting back at him. No, it isn't. Tell her. Carol, Kathy, and I have been reading a book one last time. This is hard. And it tells how spirits can come back afterwards. Now he is standing in the kitchen table in front of him, just under the Last Supper picture. Again, I'm hugging him, just holding on with everything in me. It went on. He went out the back door and I followed him and I ran after him and I couldn't keep up with him fast enough. I was floating. And a big angel appeared in the sky holding a big book and saying, you've got to go. You lay people, you've got to go. And when I woke up, I questioned myself, did I really have a visit? Could I have dreamt this? Was this a visit? Maybe not. And I woke my husband and I said, Jim, I think I had a visit. And Jim said, good, you needed to see him. And I said, but I'm wondering now. And then all of a sudden, Jim heard it too. The bathroom door slammed. I mean, it slammed. A window had opened up in the bathroom and wind blew in and slammed the bathroom door. And then I got a message. I heard it. It was me. I stopped grieving him that bad. And when he hugged me, I felt through his hands, I could feel the comfort and the peace. I really needed this visit. I was so upset. And this let me go away from the grieving that bad. In fact, other things have happened to me that I really hesitate to tell some of the things because they're pretty weird. So, and I hear things sometimes. Like when my friend passed away and we drove 50 miles to get to her deathbed. And she had told me that nobody's going to write a eulogy. So I wrote a eulogy for her. And I wanted to read it to her. And when I got there, she was on the last 10 minutes of her life. And I held her hand and she passed. Well, while I was reading the eulogy to her, I never got it finished. So now everything's quiet. The nurse, the doctors have said they're going to call the family members, asked me if I wanted to stay. And I said, yes. And I stayed there. And I heard her in this ear, finish it. And I did. I continued to finish her eulogy for her. And I grieved her too. We were very, very close. Any happiness, anything bad that was happening in our lives, solving problems, we were there for each other. So to this day, I miss her. I've got a picture of her here on my computer. And then I grieved her so much, and I never wrote this one down. So this is coming out of the back recesses of my mind. She came to me sitting in a school cafeteria. She was sitting across from me in one of the chairs. And I don't remember now what we were talking about, but the next thing I know, she was crouching under a garbage can. And I thought, what the heck? So I don't know what she was doing. And then I saw her standing at the wayside under a cross of flowers. And there was more things that happened in there. And I phoned my friend, her name's Carol. She's a medium. And I said, Carol, and Carol knew Anne very, very close, the three of us. Carol told me, Anne wants you to let her go. She can't leave this world with the way you keep grieving and calling her back. I learned there is life after death. And even though I can say I'm not afraid to die, I'm not afraid to die. But who wants to die? Leave everything behind that you know. So after this, I felt relieved inside. I felt comforted. I'm very open to the spiritual world, very open to the spiritual world.
This has been the AJ Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe.